Hi, everybody, and welcome to Varsity Aces Live. I'm Dave Rivera, the sports editor at NorthJersey.com and the Bergen Record. It's great to be with you here tonight. We're talking North Jersey high school sports amid the COVID-19 pandemic. We've all been home for the past few weeks, isolated, quarantine. It's kept us away from our jobs. It's kept us away from the things that we love to do. It's kept teachers away from teaching students in the school buildings and being with them. It's kept coaches from being with their players and instructing them and guiding them as the spring season was supposed to start. And it's kept athletes off the field and really alone at times, not being able to be with their teammates. And so we'd like to talk to, we have two guests tonight who can really give us some perspective, one from the athlete's point of view and one from the coach's point of view. We are very happy to have Grace Smiechowski. She's the senior star runner and soccer player from Northern Highlands. Grace, happy to have you here. How are you?
Thanks for having me.
And we also have Dylan Evans, who is the Park Ridge baseball coach in his first season, obviously hoping to have a spring season. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks. Great to be here.
We're going to start with Grace. Grace, we're going to bring in Paul Schwartz, who is one of our Varsity Aces gurus here in the sports writers. Paul, welcome aboard. How you doing?
Hello there. Hi, Grace.
Hi. Hello.
Well, we're live, obviously, here on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. We're excited to talk to the athletes and the coaches. We're going to take your questions. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them, and we'll get to them if we can. So, Grace, we'll start with you. First of all, how are you doing? How's life being at home for the past few weeks?
Good. It's been an adjustment for sure. A lot of by yourself things, going doing workouts, doing schoolwork by yourself, spending more time with my dog. That's for sure.
That's good.
My family. So it's good. It's been an adjustment, but I'm getting used to it.
And what about online learning and having to deal with that and get acclimated to all that?
I'm on spring break right now, so we've had a week. This week we've had off, but for the past 2 weeks I've been in school. It's been good. We've been getting like online assignments and stuff like that, and every day I would log on to my classes. Like every hour I would have a different class, and then it would end at the same time, and then I would go and I'd run by myself or do my workout that my track coach gave me. So it's been like the same routine for everyday school day, but you're at home, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I'm sure it's got to be weird.
Yeah, it's totally weird.
So how are you and your teammates and friends able to communicate? Are you on the phone constantly? Are you, what social media do you use?
Texting, phone calls for sure. FaceTime is my favorite because you get to see the person, obviously.
Right.
I'm texting and calling with my friends all the time. I'm like my best friend, Kyla Krozik. I'm always calling her, be like, did you run today? Like, what are you doing? And she tells me, and, she does the same thing I do. So we can't really run together because
right.
of distancing and stuff. So it's kind of weird. I've always ran with other people. I enjoy, being around other people. That's what made track fun.
So what are you doing for workouts to stay in shape? And how are you able to do that?
Well, my spring track coach, Tom Viscardi, has been emailing me every week different workouts to do every day. And for the most part, I did them on the track, and then the track closed. So I've been having to do them either on the street, on the treadmill, outside of my front yard, wherever I can find.
I guess the one thing you haven't been able to do is you're a really good intermediate hurdler, and you haven't been able to do any hurdle work.
Yeah.
Or have you?
I emailed my coach. I was like, hey, I found there's no hurdles at the track. Like, what do I do? And he was like, I guess you just have to improvise and pretend the hurdle's there. I do some like hip drills or something like that. So I haven't used the hurdle since winter season because they're not available to me. So I've definitely had to adjust to that too.
It's got to be tough, right? It's got to be tough. I mean, look, this is your senior season. You've been so successful in high school for your first 3 years, especially in track. You won all these titles. I'm sure you wanted to really end your high school career on such a high note. How has that been to deal with knowing that this could be it for your high school career?
Well, my track coaches and my soccer coaches always talked about like, oh, you're gonna be great your senior year. You're gonna like train up to this point, and you're gonna do all the goals that you've thought of doing. And now that I kind of can't do that or not be able to do that until college, kind of stinks, and I wasn't prepared for that. But it is what it is, and I'm still assuming that I will have to be able like to have meets and stuff. That's the only way I can really think about it. So I'm hoping that we were able to have a season or part of a season. That would be best case scenario. I would love to have the last high school track meet.
But your certainly your athletic career is not over. You're going to Georgetown. You're going to run at Georgetown. Have you been in touch with some of your future teammates there during this shutdown?
Yeah, it's cool with social media now that you get to like meet people before you even meet them. Like I know everybody, the incoming freshmen on the track team. We have group chats. I follow them all on social media, so it's been pretty easy getting to know them. And then eventually, I'm gonna have to find a roommate and stuff like that, and then we'll meet in person. But it's been nice talking to them and like meeting them.
Grace, in terms of, has a coach at Georgetown yet, who's a Jersey girl herself, Julie Coley, who ran her Rutgers, has she talked to you about what events she's expecting you to do next year? I
was recruited to do the 400 hurdles, so I'll do that the most. The coach that actually recruited me was Coach Mackenzie, so I haven't really talked to the other coaches, but he'll be coaching me in the 400 hurdles, and then the winter would probably be like 400 and 200 races.
Grace, when you think about your high school career, what goes through your mind in terms of all the accomplishments and everything you've done, and what stands out as some of the top memories that you'll take with you going forward?
Number one would probably be, I mean, all in general are great. Like sports made my high school experience. The soccer team, the girls soccer team, winning all the state titles. My favorite, I loved Coach Madigan and all the girls there. I loved being part of a team. And then when it came on to the track side of things, I loved being on the 4x4 relay. Like just at the end of the meet, like doing the 4x4, it was such a great thing to do, and it made me feel so good.
And it ends the meet, and I think back to your freshman year at the state meet of champions when you guys set or came close to setting the Bergen County record and finished third in the state. And you sort of didn't know what it was all about then. Now, 3 years later, now that you know, what do you leave high school? When you leave high school track, either it's you already have or at the end of this season, what are you going to take from high school track?
I guess it's been a learning experience for me because freshman year I went into winter track. I haven't even ran a race yet before high school. So winter season of my freshman year, I was assuming I was playing lacrosse that spring. And then after my first winter season, I decided to do spring track instead because I liked it so much. I guess what I've taken from high school is really just enjoying like the whole part of it, because now since the last part of my track season is, or potentially my end, I really look back and like really happy that I got to experience all that with so many people, so many seasons like that. So I think it's really special.
Well, being a leader in your school and on the teams, is there a message that you have maybe for the juniors, the sophomores and the freshmen going forward into next season? Maybe some of the things that you learned in your 4 years of high school there. What kind of message would you pass along to them?
For me, it was a tough time. You have to stay motivated, like 3 seasons every day. I was talking to my friend Kyle, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so jealous of the people who get to go home to school every day." Like, and looking back on it now, I'm home every day, and I'm like, "Oh, I said that." Like, I wish I was outside, like practicing with all my teammates every single day. So I just don't take it for granted. It's hard. Yeah, sure, it's tough. Back-to-back seasons, I would never have a break. But at the end of the day, like that's what I love to do. I love to play sports. I love to compete with my friends and just play outside. So, yeah, don't take it for granted because it's probably one of the best things you could do.
And Grace, I mean, speaking as someone who saw your very first race and has seen almost all of your races in 4 years, it's been fun watching you guys run. It's been fun spending time with you, and I'm happy that I'm going to see you run again. I hope it's in Northern Highlands red and white, but if it's in Georgetown colors, that'll be just as much fun.
I agree.
Well, Grace, is one of the comments that we've had here is just someone just basically saying, "Hang in there, Grace." They understand, what you must be going through and how much you must miss the sport. And there are a lot of people out there who wish they could have seen you this spring. We do also, and maybe you never know, maybe there is a spring. But if there isn't a spring, we wish you all the best. We thank you so much for coming on with us today and sharing your thoughts and feelings about what's going on. Best of luck at Georgetown, and we look forward to hearing from you down the road.
Oh, thank you for having me. And good
Take care, Grace. Talk to you soon.
Thank
Take
you
care,
very much.
Grace.
Bye.
Well, that was Grace Smiechowski, Northern Highlands, and it looks like she's not going to have a spring season, and that must be difficult. We'd like to now bring in Dylan Evans, who's a Park Ridge baseball coach. And along for the ride is Greg Tartaglia, one of our Varsity Ace sports writers who covers baseball for us. Greg, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thanks. Nice to be back for another week, and welcome to Dylan. I know that a lot of the players, baseball players, are staying in touch with these sort of ways, and we're glad we can do the same thing with you.
Absolutely. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Dylan, I'll ask you, this is your first season as the varsity baseball coach at Park Ridge. I'm sure you really wanted to get things going off on a great direction and the right note. And then all of a sudden, school's closed and you can't play baseball, you can't practice. What was going through your mind over the past few weeks when, you saw the news reports and things were happening and you finally realized that there could be a threat to your first season, really?
I mean, obviously, we knew this was going on for a little bit before the season started. And as we got into that first week of practice, we had a really good first week of practice all around. So we were really excited in the direction that we were going in. And as that first week kind of came to an end, obviously, the news kind of became a little bit more prominent and it got closer and closer to our area. So we kind of just tried to keep it business as usual as practice. Some of the guys kept talking about it and we said, let's worry about what we have to worry about at practice. We let them talk about it because, we wanted them to express how they felt, but we also wanted them to make sure that, we needed to get done at practice, and we'll take care of what we have to take care of if they shut us down, which obviously it did. I remember the day that they did, or the night that they shut us down, I got a text from my athletic director, Chris Brown, and it was just a weird feeling to, say that there's no practice for who knows when. And, when we addressed the team the following day, we had a really quick sports meeting. It was kind of like a surreal feeling to see all of our spring athletes in our bleachers in our gym. And, you could see kind of some of the sad faces that they had. So it's been hard to kind of collect your thoughts here and there over the last couple of weeks, but it's definitely been weird.
How did you give the message to the team when you knew at that point that it could be over? You just mentioned the meeting that you had. Can you take us into that meeting and maybe what the players' reactions were, some of the things that they were telling you, and the conversations that you were having?
That night when we got that text from our athletic director, we kind of just sent out a message, not saying too much. Obviously, the news broke that Bergen County schools were going to be closed for 2 weeks, but we just said there's going to be a spring sports meeting in the gym after school. So we met with all athletic teams, and our athletic director, Chris Brown, kind of broke the news to them and said that we're closed for 2 weeks, but we're hoping that we return at some point. And then each team kind of got together in their own little corner of the gym and had about a minute or two, not much. And our message was, listen, life's not fair. But what we do from this point on is really going to dictate our season if we have one. So we said stay positive, stay in touch, and of course be safe with each other.
Dylan, one of the things we've been talking about between the Varsity Aces is obviously this is affecting the kids who are playing in high school, but some kids are going to play on at the next level. I already made contact with your catcher, Vince Pinto. I know he's going to play football at the next level, but do you have any players who are looking at baseball, who are looking at college for baseball, specifically juniors? Because isn't this really the season where kind of they have the recruiting really ramp up for them?
Yeah, a lot of people obviously are focusing on the seniors. Who, don't get me wrong, I can't imagine missing your senior year. But in terms of recruiting, we have 3 right now that are being actively recruited at all different levels. That are all juniors. Brendan Hughes, who's being recruited more on a Division I level by Richmond and some schools down in the South area. So him having a big junior year after having a really good sophomore year was going to be really important. We had 2 others, Jimmy Brzezowski and Ryan Spees, who are juniors that are getting looked at on the Division II and Division III levels that we were looking really forward to, continuing their growth. They had also great sophomore years where they started a bunch for us. So, it definitely puts a little bit of a, kind of curve in the road for their recruitment. I've been kind of in touch with the coaches that have contacted me about them to let them know that they're still working out, and they progressed really nicely from where they ended last year to the first week of practice, even though it was a week, but just so I could touch base with the coaches since they can't touch base with our guys just yet. But so right now it's kind of a roadblock, but we're trying our best to keep in touch with the colleges so this way we don't lose too much ground on their recruitment process.
And we're certainly trying to follow along with your players. So thanks for the tips, for one. And you painted a very nice picture, or at least a very accurate picture of kind of what was going on in Park Ridge with bringing all the sports communities together, at least at the high school. As far as the baseball community goes, that is one of the areas that I know has been affected most by the whole COVID situation because of the passing of the Cliffside Park coach, Ben Lutterer. How well did you know him, and what impact, has it hit close to home for you?
Yeah, I remember the morning that the news broke, and I actually received a text message from one of my assistants, and a couple other coaches had texted me right as I woke up, and I couldn't believe it. I played against Ben in high school when I was at Westwood, and he was at Bosco. And we were just texting less than a month ago. We were setting up scrimmages for our JV teams because we both were, or games actually, we were both struggling to find a few. So when I heard the news, I immediately went to our conversation and, I reread it over and over, and I just couldn't believe it. I think obviously our main goal for a lot of us in the high school sports and just sports in general is we want to return to play, obviously, but we have to be really smart about this, and the health and well-being of everybody comes first. And then if we are allowed to return, if the health professionals allow us, then, I think it is our duty as coaches, ADs, and school officials to do everything we can to provide something for these kids, not only for the seniors and juniors who need it, but, just for everybody, for a sense of normalcy.
Coach, I know it's hard to predict when you can come back in any regard. Is there something that you're at least trying to focus on or look ahead, maybe summer? I don't know if it's fall. Is there anything that you can communicate to your players about, maybe we can do this during the summer, maybe we can do this in the autumn time? What is that thought cross your mind at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously everything's on the table about what's going to happen. And we've planned for, when schools were shut down for 2 weeks, we obviously said, all right, how are we going to bounce back after 2 weeks? And now it's, until further notice, now we're looking at May, and we've been trying to plan for what are we going to do in May. And obviously we've come to the thought of what happens if they cancel the season. So we've kind of already started to look into how we can do stuff in the months of late June, early July, when it is the off-season period, so coaches can have contact with their athletes. So we've been trying to figure out a way that we can schedule maybe workouts for our underclassmen and ways that we can at least do something for this year rather than nothing for them.
Well, we're hoping, for the sake of all the athletes and all the coaches, that the seasons do get back underway. For you especially, it's an interesting situation. We've had a few longtime baseball coaches retire. Pompton Lakes, Paul Tanis has stepped down there, and obviously Pete Crandall, who just won his 400th game last year at Park Ridge. But is he still around? Is he still how's it working, you taking over for Coach Crandall? Yeah,
I took over, funny enough, for Coach Crandall as a teacher a few years ago, but last year I was one of his assistants, and he is back with me as an assistant this year as well. So it's been good to have somebody with a little bit of veteran experience as well, and somebody that's gone through a lot of the ups and downs. Obviously, this is something new, so obviously we both are kind of in uncharted waters here, where we both don't really know how to handle it, and we're kind of taking it day by day. But it's been nice to have Pete back. Obviously, he's got over 400 wins, so he's extremely successful. And we look forward to working with him in the future.
Yeah, you get the baseball stuff squared away. Everything else you can kind of get through together, right?
Yeah.
And Coach, I'll ask you just one final question. It's a simple one, but I'm sure it's one that you think about every single day. What do you miss most about baseball? What do you miss most about the game? What do you miss most about coaching?
It definitely is something that I think about often. I think I definitely miss just the interaction with the kids. Something that what we've been doing as a coaching staff is just trying to pick one of our players each day and kind of connecting with them to make sure that they're okay, asking if their family's okay, if they're healthy. So definitely that interaction. Being a teacher in the building and district helped build my relationship with these kids for the last 3 years. So I'm really fortunate enough to be close to a number of them. So obviously not seeing them day to day, and then obviously our connection with baseball. Some of them have been contacting me more than others, but sending videos of their training, asking for tips. So just missing that face-to-face interaction and the ability to help them on a day-to-day basis when it comes to baseball is something that I definitely miss the most.
Well, we all miss it too. So Dylan Evans, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you all the best of luck. We hope to see you out there sooner than later. And but the bottom line is stay safe and be well, and we'll catch you down the road. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Well, let's now bring in Greg back, Tartaglia, and also Paul Schwartz. Guys, two really good interviews, one with an athlete, one with a coach, two different perspectives. Paul, I'll start with you. What are maybe a takeaway or two from tonight's conversation?
Well, I think not only with Grace, but also with the coach, a great positive attitude shown by both, especially the athlete. I've known Grace, as I said, from the very first race she ever ran in high school. And what's been remarkable about her and her classmates, she talks about her friend Kyla, how positive they've been even through certain setbacks. And it's great to see their positivity. And if we do get a season or part of a season, I think she's one of those people that's going to come in and do the best she can and be better prepared than anybody else who's going to be back competing if we compete this spring.
And Greg, what's your takeaway?
I kind of got a similar vibe from Coach Evans, where it almost seems like they're so hopeful that things will get done and we will have a season. Obviously, we'll have the end of school as well. But it almost seems like even though there's a layoff, everybody kind of seems like chomping at the bit, ready to get this done so that if and when it does restart, they'll just be all ready to go. Not that there's certain things you can't do. It's, maybe the fielding won't be a little crisp if you're playing baseball first time out, but they really seem focused and mentally ready to just go on with the show. Yeah, well, you can tell we all miss it. We all miss it badly. We miss the spring season. We wish we could be out there, especially when the weather's so nice here in New Jersey. So Greg Tartaglia, thank you so much for being here with us. Paul Schwartz, thank you very much. It was an interesting conversation, a lot of fun. Good to talk sports, even if they're not being played on the field. So thank you both for being here, and we will see you guys down the road too. And I'd like to thank everybody who made this show possible. Our director, Mike Pedagano, also Sean Oates, Elise Toribio, Paul Wood, Brian Marin, and of course, our executive editor, Dan Sforza. Now's the time to subscribe to NorthJersey.com. If you haven't already, you're going to get all the local news. You're going to get pro sports, local sports, features, dining, entertainment, everything under the sun. So subscribe to NorthJersey.com. Do it today. It's so well worth it, especially in these times when you need all the information every single day. So thank you very much. Our next show will be next Wednesday night, Varsity Aces, and we'll have a couple more guests and we'll talk some more sports. Tomorrow night is the NorthJersey.com sports show, and we've got a guest or two lined up for that, and I'll be joining you for that as well. So for everybody here at NorthJersey.com, I'm Dave Rivera. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon. Good night.